A warm welcome and very good evening, all dear participants. Resource person of today's session, Dr. Manushi Srivastava ma'am, and chairperson of today's session, Dr. Rupa Bhatt ma'am. Now, I would like to introduce today's resource person of the session, Dr. Manushi Srivastava ma'am. Ma'am is currently designated as a professor of medical sociology in the Department of Community Medicine, Institute of Medical Science, BHU, Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh. Ma'am is a medical sociologist and has done her PhD from the renowned Banaras Hindu University. Ma'am is an active academician with about 4 dozen national and international papers to her credit. Ma'am has been invited as a guest speaker to Smith's College, USA, to deliver a talk about the public health challenges in India. She is also as invited faculty in management institutes. Ma'am has successfully completed one major ICMR funded project as principal investigator and participated as uh, co-investigator in various research projects. Ma'am is also nodal officer of Swachh Bharat Summer Internship Program and coordinator of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, etc. Now, I would like to invite ma'am to kindly lead today's session. Please, ma'am, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you. And
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am.
thank you. And good evening to all participants and chairperson, ma'am. Uh, I'm really very happy that today somehow there is no technical issue as my previous lecture. So I'm very scared that no technical issue may come. So thanks again, Amit. Uh,
Thank you, ma'am.
So there are 112 participants at present connected. So I welcome each and every one of you in this session. This session has two major segments, I should say, because we have clubbed the previous lecture in this lecture. But I will try my level best to make it understandable and uh, interactive too, so that you can very well participate in the lecture also. And if at any place you feel that you are not getting the concepts that I'm sharing with you, please feel free to ask. I will be very happy to answer. And of course, at the end of my lecture, you will be given some time to interact. So I think I should start now. 124 participants are there, so it is a good strength. And thanks to this online sessions, that at present 123 uh, peoples are now, I mean, watching.
Ma'am, some of them are joining through YouTube Live. There are
Okay.
about 600 participants.
Oh, Baba,
Yes,
good.
ma'am. Through all over the country.
Okay, 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 good, good number. Let me. I'm trying to share the slides. Just wait.
No problem, ma'am. No problem. Please.
Amit? Hello, Amit.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I
Yes, ma'am.
audible?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
it
Audible.
visible? Is it visible?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Visible and make it in slideshow mode. It's visible.
Visible, na?
Visible, visible. And
Okay.
make it slideshow mode to make it zoom.
Yeah, yeah. Is it okay?
Perfect, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Perfect,
fine.
perfect. Thank
Okay,
you,
fine.
ma'am.
Fine, fine. So, dear participants, my today's lecture is specifically in two parts, as I have mentioned. The first is selecting a research problem, and the second part is basically on hypothesis formulation and basic methodology. So, first I want to know what is your understanding about research problem or research question or research topic. Are all synonym to each other? Yes or no? Research topic, research problem, research question. No. Okay. Dr. Geeta told no. So, research topic or research problem or research question, if these three concepts are not same, okay, fine. No, no is the answer. They are not same. I agree that these are not same. What is the exact, difference? Let me explain. It is tough for you all to communicate. I know that you must be knowing more of the participants have the concept that research topic and research problem as well as research question is different. Agreed. If in the simple word I will say, research topic is more specific and research problem is more broader in concept. Fine. So this is the fundamental concept. Thirst area. Fine. So this is the concept. Later on with my slides, I will clarify the concepts of research problem, and we will discuss in detail what is exactly research question and what is exactly research topic and how we have to move. Fine. So let's start. First of all, I want to discuss with you all that why we need research in Ayurveda. If you will see, I have given lot of reasons that why we need Ayurveda in a systematic research form. The reasons are very clear, very pertinent, that to validate the principles and practices that is already existing, or if we want to develop some new principles or practices, if we want to develop safe, effective and economical new drug or formulation of it, if to find out the new actions of drug or formulation, we need research, proper research, robust research in Ayurveda again. To find out new Nidan and their role in Samprapti, that is attainment of long life as well as quality life. If we want to assure this, we need good research, systematic research, planned research, scientific research in Ayurveda again, to develop new analytical tools for quality control and to study the actions of currently used dietetics, because as I know that in Ayurveda, dietetics is very important area of research in which we used to study the food we eat and its effect on health, which is okay. Voice is very low. Volume is very low. Okay. Okay. Let me increase the volume. Now I have maximized it. Is it okay? Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
okay?
Yes, ma'am, it is audible.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Thank you. And the last is the study in dietetics. Again, it needs a good research background so that we can assure people to rely on it. The studies will be validated, proven with facts, which is very important now in this world, because evidence based research is the time in which we are working. So, evidence is required. Fine. And without proper research, without robust research in a planned way, we can't. Why not audible?
It's audible. It's audible, ma'am. It's
Okay,
audible.
okay.
But there may be issue at participant end. Some of them
Okay,
are
fine.
not.
Okay, fine.
Then
Okay,
please rejoin. If there is any issue at any participant end, then please rejoin the session.
okay, fine, fine. So, what is exactly research? As I understand, it is more easy to understand research if we know that what is research, what we should not consider as research. Then it will be easy for to all of us to understand what is research exactly. What is not research? If we are only collecting information by conducting surveys or by conducting questionnaire survey or conducting interviews or gathering data, this is not only research. Just by collecting information and rearranging fact in a linear sequence, that because of this is increasing, because of this is decreasing, this is not research exactly. This is just a journalist's viewpoint that because of this is happening without any justification. Just selling or persuading the concepts. For example, we have conducted some survey, we are getting opinion that people are of the opinion that AIMS should establish in BHU or AIMS should establish in Varanasi. But just telling this statement without any background or without any criteria, it is not easy to consider it as a research. Similarly, only a neat and grammatical correct paper without any new addition in the existing body of knowledge again should not be considered as research. Just mere conducting a experiment in the laboratory or conducting survey or questionnaire, collecting some information, analyzing it and coming out with the results again is not research. So what is exactly research? What is exactly research? From where we have to start the research? So research starts from research question. There should be a research problem. There should be a hypothesis. Then we will start a research. So before starting any research, there should be a question in your mind that this is the question. Why people are hesitant to take COVID vaccine? Vaccine hesitancy as a research problem. In a specific region, people are hesitant to take vaccines. Research problem. Hypothesis. Irrespective of the socio-economic background, socio-economic background is not affecting the status of vaccine intake. These are some of the questions that should be in the mind of the researcher before starting any research. There should be a theoretical framework. Sometimes in some studies, if we will go for a good review of literature, we will get some theoretical framework that before conducting this study, this is the framework under which we can direct our study. There should be a research plan. You just think before going for any program. For example, if you want to conduct a farewell function in your college, there should be a plan, there should be a strategy, there should be some team, there should be some design, that how many people you are going to involve, how many fund you are going to involve, which group of people will designate for what specific work, in what time limit you will conduct this program. So there should be a plan, there should be a design for conducting a study or experiment. Now come the data collection and analysis. So just think, the fourth step of data collection and analysis, we used to think that this is the point where we have to start the research. But no, before starting the data collection and analysis of the collected data, there are three major steps before this step, that is formulation of hypothesis in background of the research question or research problem. Then to find out some theoretical framework if it exists, and this will be done by proper robust literature search. And the third one is, which is very important, plan of study. So these are some of the three major steps which we have to conduct before going for any sort of data collection. Data collection comes at fourth step, fine. And the last is, if we are investing time, energy, money, manpower, resources, everything, and we are not in position at the end of the research, if we are not in position to contribute a single stone in the existing body of knowledge, what is the purpose of doing research? Research doesn't mean to search again for the same existing facts. Getting my point? Is it clear? Is it clear to all of you? Research doesn't mean to research the same findings. Fine? Okay, thank you. So, what is not research should be very clear in your mind. It will clarify the concepts of what is research exactly. Fine? So, your thesis should explain the study in terms of answers to the following questions. Why? The first question is, why we want to conduct this study? That is study question or problem, and the relevant background information that why we should embark on this particular research problem, why it is important, why it is relevant, how much it is relevant, why we have taken this research question. So, the first question that you should explain in your thesis, you have to think that your protocol or synopsis should be answerable to these 5 questions: why, how, who, what, and so what. So, why is the study question? Why we are doing this study? Why we are planning to conduct our research in this specific field? Fine. How? If we have decided that this is the research question in which I am going to direct my study, fine. Now, how to move? This is the study design. And there should be a rationale for choosing it, and the description of instruments and techniques that we are going under this study design should come in the how section. Fine. Then the third question is who. Who will be our study population? Who will be our target population? Whether the geriatric population, children, under 5 children, males, females, tribal population, adolescent girls, adolescent boys, who will be our study population? And sample size. This is the third question for which your research or synopsis should be answerable. The fourth question is what. See, if we have identified a specific study area, because research is always a micro in-depth study, we won't be able to do justice with all the variables. So we must identify few of the variables. Those variables are what? Identify the variables to be measured and outcomes to be analyzed. What variables we have to measure? For example, if we are going to study about the child health, there are a number of causative factors for which child health is compromised, due to which child health is compromised. Maybe a compromised hygiene, maybe compromised nutrition, maybe unawareness, maybe poor literacy of parents. There are a number of reasons. What specific variables we are going to address in our study? That variable should be identified. That is what. And if we are answering why, how, who, what, but already all these 4 questions has been answered by lot of other researchers, it means we are not going to do anything in addition to the existing body of knowledge. So you should answer in the last, so what. So what means comments on the expected significance of the results and contribution to knowledge. So this is the fifth question that we have to answer. Fine. So identifying a research question or research problem, we need a broad area first. Broad area, a general idea, a general concept. Then we intensify the concept with the help of review of literature. Getting my point? Typically we start from a broad area or a general concept, that technological dependency of doctor-patient relationship or internet addiction among adolescent girls and boys. Now this is a broad area. Technological dependency among doctors, this is a broad area. Now this technological dependency of doctors is good in terms of patient's care or is bad in terms of patient care. This is open. Now, field of broader thematic area as the whole cake. We consider it as a whole cake. Now, with the process of review of literature, gradually with passage of time, we intensify the broader concept into a specific research topic. Getting my point? So, this is the way we used to move from a broad area or research problem from research problem to research topic specifically. So in the beginning, I have asked that what is the difference between research problem or research question and research topic. This is the difference. Topic is more intensified, more specific, to the point, and this comes from the broader concept that is given in research question or research problem. Research question is basically interrogative form. It is an interrogative form. It's a question specifically that clicks you in your mind. So this is basically the concept of research topic and research problem. So how to identify a research problem? Now the question is, it is okay if I am telling that first identify a broader area or research problem or research area and then move towards research topic. It's okay, but how to decide? So focus on an area of research of real interest and in which you are knowledgeable about. So what is the first criteria? Area of interest, your area of interest, because you are going to invest 4-5 years of your life, and this is the highest qualification that you are going to carry throughout your life. So exactly you are going to marry with this topic, with this area, and you are answerable because you are going to conduct a research on it. So area of interest is important to screen, your area of interest. And the second is your specialization, whether you have knowledge about it, whether you feel that you are comfortable enough to conduct a research in this specific area, your knowledge in this specific area is up to the mark. So these are some of the questions before identifying a research problem or research topic. Sometimes what you students use today, some very new word, very new area, very interesting. Let's start working on it. This is very new. No one have heard about it. No research has been conducted. Nothing. But if it is very new for you also, literatures are silent. Documents are not enough. Government literatures are not that much enough to go through it and to prepare a good literature review. It will be quite challenging. It's not impossible. I'm not telling that it's impossible. If it interests you, you should explore your interest. Very true. But it is quite challenging. So if you have that zeal to take the challenge, it's okay. You can move. So these are some of the points, that is what interests you, what is the current state of research and discussion in this field that is going on already, that you will get through literature review. How would undertaking this research contribute to knowledge in the field? For it means what is already established fact in this specific area. What are the existing facts about this area? Whether it is already a saturated area, nothing new to come out with, or there is scope. What is the significance of the topic? Whether it is relevant enough in today's era, whether it is significant enough. And the last point that we have to think before identifying a research problem or topic, that is whether it is practical and doable, achievable, feasible or realistic. How much it is achievable, whether we will be able to achieve in 3 years of duration because we have limited time, limited resources. No? So these are some of the points that we have to take care in our mind. I hope you all are with me. Is it okay? You all are with me? Fine, fine, thank you. So, all this can be done with only one point, that is good literature review. Literature search or literature review is one of the most important phase of research that we usually give very less importance, and this is not fair. So always keep in mind that literature review is very important. Give religious effort and time in literature review. This will make very clear your ideas, your concept, your hypothesis, topic, methodology, everything. This will help you a lot. Fine. So this is the KUM chart. We usually used to make our students comfortable with this KUM chart. KUM chart is basically a method to go for review of literature and recording of it. So K is known fact about some specific area. For example, if you have identified some area, what are the known facts about that specific area? U is the unknown facts. You have gone through 15, 20, 100 literatures existing on that specific topic, and you could find out some of the areas which is very saturated areas, and lot of results has been already available and floating on the screens and everywhere. So these are some of the known facts. But at the same time, if you are going through ROL, you could find out that these are some of the areas which is still unanswered. Gaps are there. There are some contradictions. There are some questions existing in it which is still unanswered. These are the unknown facts. And M is me. What is the open question for you? There are 4 variables, 4 points which is unanswered. All 4 you are not going to take. So which specific you are going to take? For example, I have taken one example, lifestyle disorders. We are working from last so many years on lifestyle diseases, non-communicable diseases, fine. About the causes, risk factors and management. This is a broad area, known area, fine. Now, what is unknown about it? We are working on lifestyle diseases or non-communicable diseases from last so many years. Lot of studies has been conducted. Lot of results is still floating on internet and everywhere about the causes or risk factors and how we will manage and line of treatments and everything. What specifically you could find out for you, that is impact of yoga in prevention and management of lifestyle disorders. Like this, you could find out lot of unknown, unanswered questions regarding that specific area. Now for you have identified a specific question, specific problem for your research, that is to assess the therapeutic role of yoga practice in management of type 2 diabetes specifically. So now you can see that in K column it is known. Now in U column you could find out with the help of review of literature that impact of yoga in prevention and management of lifestyle disorders is still not that much well addressed fact. Still there is a scope. Now you have identified a specific question for yourself, for your study, for your research, that is to assess the therapeutic role of yoga practice in management of type 2 diabetes. This is M column, that is me column. For you, you have established this research problem to be researched. Fine. Criteria for prioritizing research problem. What are the specific criteria for prioritizing research problem? Quickly we have discussed, but again I am going to refocus on these areas. The first most important thing is relevance. If we want to prioritize a research problem or research topic, relevance is the most important thing. If it is not relevant in today's perspective, it is useless to invest time, energy, money, resources, anything. because everything is very precious. Time, resources, money, manpower, everything. We should always think that what we have to and how we have to. So relevance is the very important point that we have to think about. Avoidance of duplication. We should not duplicate. Research means not duplication. Urgency of data needed, that is timeliness. I will explain one by one. Political acceptability is very important nowadays. Feasibility of the study, how much it is feasible. We have limited time as a researcher. We are not conducting research in a project mode. We have not huge manpower. We have not unlimited resources. We have not unlimited time. There is time frame. So feasibility is again very important to assess. Applicability of results, how much the study results is applicable. If it is not applicable, it is useless. And ethical acceptability. Nowadays in research, ethical consideration or ethical acceptability is the vital component. If you are doing your research, the first thing that you have to get from your institute ethics committee, ethical approval. Without ethical approval, you won't be able to conduct your research, as well as you won't be able to publish any article from your research nowadays, from PhD as well as from MD. Fine. So it's very important to get the ethical acceptability. Now I am explaining each and everything. Relevance is question to be asked include how large or widespread is the problem. This makes the problem relevant. The second is who is affected. Geriatric, children, vulnerable population, underprivileged, who is going to affect? And how severe is the problem? How much it is severe? These are the three major questions which will ensure the relevance of the study. Fine. The next is avoidance of duplication. KUM chart will help you in avoiding the duplication. That's why I have discussed earlier. Whether the suggested topic has been investigated before, either within the proposed study area or in another study. If it has been investigated but in some other study area and you want to investigate the same topic in your study area which is different from the earlier exposed investigated studies, it's okay. You can move for that. But make sure that it should not be duplicated. If the topic has been researched and the study results should be reviewed to explore whether the major questions still remain unanswered, or see, if I have made the questions or objectives, it is not necessary that at the end of the study all the research question has been answered well. So just by making the research question, we can't ensure that at the end of the study we are in position to answer. We should be. So you have to go through the research, you have to see the results, and you have to assess that whether the results are actually answering the research questions or not, or research questions are still unanswered. If the research questions are still unanswered after conducting the study, still there is a scope for you to conduct the same study because the answers are still unanswered, the questions are still unanswered. So this is the KUM chart. For this specific problem, KUM chart will be very helpful for you all to avoid the duplication. Now, urgency of data needed. For example, vaccine trial for COVID. Results is needed in a specific time frame. This is timeliness. If after that, once it has been established, once COVID vaccination trials has been completed, everyone has taken the COVID vaccines, now you are proposing the study for vaccine trial, it is of no use. Or if you are finishing the vaccine trial after everything has finished, what is the use, what is the purpose of the study? So this is the timeliness. Consider which research should be done first and which can be done later. If we are talking about the research and there are 3-4 study concepts or research concepts are in pipeline, so you have to understand which study you have to prioritize first on the basis of timeliness. Reason for vaccine hesitancy. Now, most of us, maybe because of at some places administrative decision, people have taken vaccines. If now we are coming out with the results of reasons of vaccine hesitancy, what is the purpose of that study results? No? So, timeliness is again very important. Political acceptability. Sometimes some of the studies on national security or something, for example, I have given a topic on CRPF Jawans and their suicidal ideations. I have taken special permission from government to conduct this study, and they have put lot of restrictions on my student for conducting and for publishing the. Before any publication, I have to take special permission. I have to send the article to higher authorities of CRPF, and when they will screen and they will permit, then only I will be able to publish. These are some of the points I am just sharing, that why political acceptability is important. For example, if we are working on open field defecation, and government has already declared some areas as open field defecation free, and if we come out with the result that these specific areas which has been already declared in government document that this is open defecation free area, and we are coming out with the result that no defecation is 80%, do you think that politically the study result will get acceptance? Maybe no. So, political acceptability is again very important. So, how we have to come out with the results, this is again very important. So, we have to involve the policy makers, concerned authorities at an early stage. I am not telling that such type of evaluation studies we should not conduct. We should conduct, but in evaluation mode, by involving the policy makers and by taking the permission that we want to conduct a evaluation survey, community based evaluation survey, keeping in mind these specific national health programs which has been already conducted and completed, to assess the effect or impact in the community. Getting my point? So, in order to limit the chances for confrontation later, it is good to involve the administrative authorities or concerned authorities, which can increase the acceptability, political acceptability. Now, feasibility. Again, I will try. I want to focus more on this specific issue. Manpower. As a researcher, there is only single manpower, and that is you. Time, limited time. On paper, it is 3 years of research. I mean your PG, but actually it is 1.5 years. See, this is very crude calculation of time. Equipment and resources is also very limited, and money, of course, your stipend is only the money. Fine. If you are not going to conduct your study in a research project mode. Fine. So, feasibility is again very important, and applicability of possible results. Is it likely that the recommendation from the study will be applied? The opinion of the political clients and of responsible staff will influence the implementation of recommendation. So, implementation, if your study results, for example, if you are coming out with the study result that everyone should get the training on blood pressure measurement, all health related staffs, you should assess that whether it is applicable enough to train each and every grassroots level health worker to be trained on BP measurement. This is the point of assessing applicability of possible results or recommendation. If you will recommend at the end of your study that each and every health worker should be trained on BP measurement, whether you think whether it is applicable enough. If you think yes, keeping in mind all the resources available, manpower resources, fund, everything, and our country is a developing one, then you will be able to answer it better. So these are the 6 points that we have to keep in mind. And the last is ethical acceptability. As I have told you, how acceptable is the research to those who will be studied in your study? Can informed consent be obtained from the research subjects? Will the condition of the subject be taken into account, or will the result be shared with those who are being studied in your study? Fine. The people you have taken the data, whether you are going to share the results of your study to those people. These are some of the question of ethical acceptability that you should keep in mind in your while conducting your research. Then only ethical acceptability will be approved. Fine. So these are some of the points that you have to keep in mind specifically before identifying the research problem or research question. So this is the slide that I want to keep in front of you, in which I want to show that the movement is from general to specific. Movement of what? Movement of topic, that is drug interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs. This is a topic, this is a broad area, just a broad area. Now topic here, topic is not exactly research topic, area, whole cake. Fine, just remember that figure, whole cake. Drug interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs. This is a complete broader concept or broader area. Now the research problem is how Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs interact with each other. How they interact. This is a research question, research problem that comes in your mind, research problem, how it interacts. Now the purpose statement, your statement of the purpose is to analyze drug and drug interaction between Ayurvedic drugs and allopathic drugs. This is just a way of representation. Research problem is the research question, how Ayurvedic and allopathic drug interact with each other. This is a research question or the research problem. Now the statement of the purpose is what you want to state, what is the purpose of the study, what is the agenda, what is the goal of the study, is to analyze drug and drugs interaction between Ayurvedic drugs and allopathic drugs. Now the exact research question is, are the interaction of various Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs synergistic or antagonistic in nature? This is the specific research question. So see, the difference between research problem and research question is, it is becoming more specific, more intensified. This is the fundamental difference between research question, research problem and research statement. Am I clear? Is it clear to all? This is just, way of presentation. But it will clarify your concepts, that what you exactly want to do. See, in research question, it is very clear. Are the interaction of various Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs are synergistic or antagonistic? So you have to find out all the types of interactions between Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs, and you have to assess each and every interaction in the viewpoint that whether it is synergistic or antagonistic. That's all. Fine? Fine. So thank you. This is the first section that I have completed. So do you want 5 minutes break or I can continue? Amit?
Yeah, ma'am, it's totally on you, ma'am. I think take 5 minute breaks to regenerate the energy.
Fine, I have no issue. It depends on the participants. So let's have a quick
So,
break. Is it okay?
yes,
Can
ma'am. Yes,
continue. My participants are telling that we can continue.
okay, ma'am.
All of
It's
Yes, ma'am.
totally
You
on
can
you.
continue, ma'am.
Oh, fine, thank you. It means you all are, with me, and you are not feeling bored, no?
Definitely, ma'am.
Achha. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you. So now the second topic that I have to discuss with you is hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is not new. Majority of you must be knowing about it, must have worked about it, and hypothesis is very common for all of us. So I'm not going to tell you anything completely new about it, but some of the concepts just I want to share about hypothesis. Can you tell me in 2 or 3 words what you understand by hypothesis? What is exactly hypothesis? In 2 3 words, if you want to tell. Please, come on. Hypothesis. What do you understand? What is exactly hypothesis? Guessing. Fine. Assumption. Assuming. Fine. What is in our mind? Formulating a question or assumption. What we have to do about this assumption? Tentative statement, proposed outcome. Fine. Logical supposition. Fine. It means a statement which needs to be fixed with passage of time. Is it okay? There is some dilemma in fixing. There is a statement that needs some homework behind that specific statement. After that, we will be able to fix that statement in positive or in negative, in positive direction or in negative direction. Fine. So, why hypothesis we need exactly? What's the purpose of hypothesis? First, let's understand the need. Whether we need hypothesis in each and every study. Without framing hypothesis, we won't be able to conduct study. Do you feel so? Sometimes I used to think that without establishing hypothesis or hypothesis, null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis, studies cannot be conducted. What do you think? Only descriptive studies you think. Okay. Some studies used to generate hypothesis. Even you must have gone through some of the studies in which there is no hypothesis. That study is not up to the mark. No, exactly. This is not the situation. But yes, it should be conclusive. Very true. Very true. Basically, hypothesis clarifies the idea, clarifies the direction, narrow the investigations, brings clarity. So it is good if we keep a hypothesis, if we produce a hypothesis, if we frame a hypothesis. It will intensify your concepts, your ideas of research. So, almost every great step in the history of science has been made by the anticipation of nature. You all know, we all agree. That is by the invention of hypotheses, which, though verifiable, often had very little foundation to start with. This is the statement of Huxley, which we usually quote in support of hypothesis formulation. So, hypothesis brings clarity, specificity, and focus to a research problem. Though we have prepared a research problem, now that specific research problem needs clarity, more specific, more focused, but are not essential for study. Agreed, this is not essential. You can conduct a valid investigation without constructing a single formal hypothesis. Very true. So, however, to narrow the field of investigation, it is important to formulate hypothesis. If hypothesis is there, it will be good for you to be more clear on the concepts. The importance of hypothesis lies in their ability to bring direction. If your hypothesis is not good enough to come out with some direction, it is again useless. So, focus to a research study which enhances objectivity in a study. Hence, a hypothesis is an assumption, suspicion, or an idea about a phenomena or situation, the reality or truth of which you do not know in the beginning, and for this we conduct a study and test the hypothesis. In the beginning, we have just an assumption. We are completely unknown about the reality or truth. Now, with the passage of time, by conducting the study, we fix the statement, we test the hypothesis, and we test the reality or truth of it. Fine. If we talk about what is hypothesis, different authors have explained in different words. Grinnell in 1988 has given a statement, middle one, which I like most. There are different authors, in different words they have explained the hypothesis. I like Grinnell's statement that a hypothesis is written in such a way that it can be proven or disproven by valid and reliable data. It is in order to obtain these data that we perform our study. Some authors also stated it that this hypothesis is a conjectural statement of the relationship between two or more variables. Agreed? Different authors have different way of explanation of hypothesis. What are the basic characteristics of hypothesis? The first and most important criteria is tentative proposition. It can be, it cannot be. Validity is completely unknown in the beginning when we fix hypothesis, when we formulate hypothesis. In most cases, it specifies a relationship between two or more variables. Usually between two or more variables, we used to specify the relationship which shows the direction. And this is the hypothesis. This is the characteristic of hypothesis. It is an assumption which is testable within a reasonable time period. It must be limited in scope and must be specific. It should not be vague. It should not be too broad that its testing becomes a challenge. And it must be consistent with most known facts. Known facts, already existing, already established, already validated facts. If it is consistent with the most known facts, then only we will say that it is a hypothesis, because it is again a step of scientific research, no? So, these are some of the characteristics of hypothesis. There are again two types of hypothesis. We used to say alternative hypothesis and null hypothesis. There is research hypothesis. So, alternative hypothesis and research hypothesis. With alternative hypothesis, we used to prefer null hypothesis because null hypothesis gives a statement which is unbiased, and we used to say that a researcher should be unbiased in their statement. Research hypothesis has four natures. Hypothesis of no difference, that we usually used to say null hypothesis. Hypothesis of difference, that this is the difference. Null hypothesis is there is no difference between these two or more than two variables. Hypothesis of difference is there is difference between this and this variable. Hypothesis of point prevalence. This is the point prevalence of this variable A and this is the point prevalence of this variable B. And hypothesis of association. Hypothesis of association between two or more variables. These are the common types of research hypothesis statements. These four are the different types of hypothesis statements. Fine. I am just giving example for each of the research hypotheses. These are, let's see an example. Suppose you want to do a research on the IT literacy pattern in a community in relation to gender differences. What is the gender differences in IT literacy? The following hypothesis could be constructed. See, just framing is different. Frame is different. Language is different. The first is there is no significant difference. That is the first one, null hypothesis. No significant difference in the proportion of male and female with IT literacy in community population. This is the first one, that is hypothesis of no difference, that is null hypothesis. This is a statement for that. Now the second statement, a greater proportion of male than female are IT literate in this population. This is the second example for hypothesis of difference, in which we are showing that a greater proportion of male are IT literate as compared to female population in community. The third is a total of 70% of male and 30% of female in this study are IT literate. This is difference of prevalence, point prevalence, hypothesis of point prevalence, 70 and 30. We are mentioning that 70% of male and 30% of female in the study are IT literate, showing the difference of IT literacy among two genders. Fourth is there are twice as many male IT educated as female IT educated in this study population. This is the example of fourth one, that is hypothesis of association. What is the association between these two variables? That the first one is twice more than the second one. Fine. So this is the different types of research hypothesis. So any type of hypothesis, including a null hypothesis, can become the basis of any inquiry. When a null hypothesis becomes the basis of any investigation, it becomes a research hypothesis specifically. So null hypothesis is the most preferred type of hypothesis because this statement is an unbiased statement, and we always expect with a researcher that a researcher should be unbiased in its statement and in its action. Fine. I hope you all are with me. Is it clear, understandable for you all? Thank you, Dr. Prashant. Fine, Dr. Rajendra. Fine, fine, fine. Thank you. So both quantitative and qualitative research involve formulating a hypothesis. Sometimes we used to think that only quantitative studies needs formulation. Qualitative studies need not. See, the fundamental difference between qualitative research is basically to formulate hypothesis, and quantitative studies are by and large to test hypothesis. So formulation of hypothesis, for formulation we usually go for qualitative research, qualitative studies, but it is not in watertight compartments. Sometimes quantitative studies also help in formulation of hypothesis. But for testing of hypothesis, quantitative studies are more appropriate. So both quantitative and qualitative research involve formulating a hypothesis, but in both type of research, hypothesis formulation is important, hypothesis statement is important to address the research problem. A hypothesis will generally provide a causal explanation or propose some association between two variables. Variables are measurable phenomena whose values can change under different conditions. In different conditions, there is change in value. So steps of hypothesis formulation are given here, which is 6 in numbers. The first thing that we have to do is simple assumption, a statement of assumption that we have to generate. Now determine your variables, an independent variable and a dependent variable. In your statement, what is the independent variable and what are the dependent variable? Can you tell me in the previous example what is the independent variable and what is the dependent variable? In the example of IT literacy among male and female, what is the independent variable and what are the dependent variable? Independent variable. Come on. Gender is depending on IT literacy, or IT literacy is depending on gender? Independent gender and dependent IT. Agreed? Come on. I think a lot of fine. Fine. Okay. So it's clear. Decide on direction. What is the direction? Get specific. It's very specific that we are specifically addressing IT literacy among males and females. Very specific. Nothing else. Nothing about health consciousness, nothing about nutritional consciousness, nothing about hygiene awareness, nothing else. Only IT literacy. Fine. Make sure it is testable, whether it is testable, whether it can be objectified. IT literacy. What are the indicators by which we are going to assess it? So we have to be very specific, very objectified in assessing it. Then we will say that it is testable. 10 indicators to test the IT literacy. And test your hypothesis. Now the last point is to test the hypothesis. So these are the 6 steps of formulation of hypothesis. Now testing a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an assumption we all know, we all accepted, that may prove to be either correct or incorrect. To arrive at incorrect conclusion, variety of reasons can be, which are as follows. The study design selected may be faulty, the sampling procedure adopted may be faulty, the method of data collection it may be inaccurate, the analysis may be wrong, the statistical procedure which has been applied may be inappropriate, or the conclusion drawn or perception that we have drawn or conclusion that we have drawn may be incorrect. So hence, in the testing of hypothesis, there is always the possibility of errors. There is always the risk of errors, which is attributable to the reasons identified above. Because of these 6 reasons, there is high chance of or possibility of errors, which can be attributable. So because there is high chance of errors to occur, we used to consider type 1 and type 2 errors. Types of errors occurs in testing hypothesis. When you use to test hypothesis, chances of occurrence of errors is quite high because of 6 reasons. So what is exactly type 1 and type 2 errors? It is very simple. It is very simple. When a null hypothesis that we have framed is true, but we reject it, that is type 1 error. And if the null hypothesis is false and we accept it, this is type 2 error. Simple, very simple. If the null hypothesis statement is actually true, but during testing we reject it, what type of error occur? Type 1 error. If the null hypothesis that we have fixed is actually false, but while testing the hypothesis we have accepted it, what happens? Type 2 error occurs. This is type 2 error. So type 1 error happens when we reject a true null hypothesis, and type 2 error happens when we accept a false null hypothesis. This is the fundamental difference between type 1 error and type 2 error. Is it okay? Is it clear? Nothing too complicated. Is it okay? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Geeta. Now, the third section I have completed. Now the methodology section. Already lot of resource faculties have addressed the concept of methodology and the different sections of methodology. in my section, it is all about the basic methodology, so I'm not going to focus too much on it. I just want to project 2 or 3 slides on methodology or basic concepts of methodology, just to refresh your concepts or ideas, so nothing new in it again. How to set up methodology section in thesis. This is the most important section, gist of your thesis. So the methodology describes the broad philosophical underpinning to your chosen research method, including whether you are using qualitative or quantitative method or a mixed method. A key part of your dissertation or thesis is methodology, and it is not similar to methods. Methods is completely different. Research methods comes under the category of or ambit of methodology. Methodology provides the information on where and how the research was conducted. Where, universe, place of study, and how, that is the procedure, the plan, the strategy, the study design, the tool, the software that you are going to use for data collection and for data analysis and results or report preparation. This all comes under how. So the methodology section of research paper answers 2 main questions. What are the 2 main questions? How was the data collected or generated, and how was it analyzed? 2 main. How to collect. How to collect data needs complete research plan. Study design, study tools, sample size, inclusion, exclusion, everything. And how it was analyzed? What variables? With what variables we have to cross? What specific testing techniques we have to apply? Why we have to apply? And how to interpret the results? So the specific research tools or strategies that you utilized to study the underlying hypothesis and research question in the methodology section is very important. The writing should be direct and precise. Your methodology should not include lot of unnecessary, unrequired explanation. It should be very to the point, specific, clear, precise, and direct. Always written in past tense, your methodology, because you have already conducted your study on the methodology that you have keep in your mind. Fine. So methodology section includes these 6 areas. Area of the study, that is universe. Type of the study, which type of study you are conducting, descriptive or analytical or observational, or which type of study. What tools you are going to use, whether you are going to use questionnaire or interview schedule or some scales. Sampling techniques of the study, what specific sampling techniques you are using, because your sampling technique of the study should be very robust. Now the sample size of the study, very important to address again, because we have to answer on external validity. And if we are answerable for external validity, it is important to generalize the results. And we only generalize the results if our sample size will be representative of the whole universe, our area of study. And the inclusion and exclusion criteria, the first inclusion and then exclusion. Out of those inclusive study subjects, to whom we have to exclude. So this is again very important. So methodology should not be problem blind. What is the research problem? While framing your methodology, you should always keep in your mind what is the research problem with which we have stepped in to this study. Unnecessary explanation of basic procedure should not be the part of your methodology. Irrelevant detailed review literature or explanation or area explanation should not be there. It's more than source of information for other researchers, for future researcher, that how they can conduct a study. So it is a source of information. Only source of information is not good. it should be a source of information so that a future researcher can go through the methodology of your study and get the idea. But if it is not having the content actually needed and only just a source of information, you from this is specific literature you can get this, from this specific resource you can get this, so this is not the purpose of writing methodology. So these are some of the do's and don'ts of writing methodology, and I think this is my last slide. So thank you. Thanks a lot to all the participants for patience hearing, and thanks to Chairman ma'am for bearing me for I think 1.5 hours. I think so. Thanks again, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, ma'am, for very knowledgeable and informative session. And now I would like to request our participant that if there is any query regarding the session, then please write your query in the chat box or raise your hand so I can send you the unmute request.
Thank you, thank you. Clapping sign is continuously coming in the chat
Yes,
box, and
yes,
I'm
ma'am.
really,
Sharing
I'm
and
really getting
yes,
motivated.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Thank you. Thanks. It's quickly changing, so I am not able to read the names. Dr. Prashant, Dr. Sahu, Archana, Dr. Anil. Thank you. Dr.
Here
Mohan,
are you. Dr. Sarayu
Dr.
Kore,
Shubham,
please
Dr.
unmute
Gopi.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am, please ask your query.
Yeah,
Dr. Sarayu, yes, Dr. Sarayu Kore.
yeah, am I unmuted now? Huh. Yes,
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, ma'am. Yeah,
yeah.
ma'am. You are
Madam,
audible. Yeah.
in a very short period of time, 1 month, 1 or 1.5 month, I have to take a pilot work for some 40-45 days.
Okay,
That,
ma'am.
so do the sampling method is applicable to this pilot work? Is it if it is not possible also?
Ma'am, of course, for pilot study also,
Mm.
sampling procedure is required, ma'am, because you
Okay.
are not going to do complete enumeration, no?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
No.
in 1.5 month, then it is more required, ma'am.
Okay.
In
Okay.
very short period, if you are going to conduct, then sample size is more required, but it should be representative. Representative. Try to make it more representative. That is all.
Can I enroll like systematic sampling, like alternate patient will be in the either group who is enrolled in the study?
Why
That,
not? But of course, but with the help of random numbers.
yeah,
Go
okay.
for random numbers.
Okay, so I'll go from some
What?
30,
Yeah.
40, whatever my number is there.
uh, just
Huh?
come out
So
with the prevalence, go
yeah.
through some reviews, come out with the prevalence,
Mm,
identify, fix the number, and
mm,
the first number, if there is list of patient, the
mm.
first select randomly,
Okay.
and then you can alternate, or after each two, add the difference of two, add the difference of three, but first decide the sample size, ma'am.
One random number I have to
Yeah,
start and
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead again. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
okay.
Dr. Akshay Nandeswar,
Yeah.
please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Dr. Akshay,
Yeah, hello.
Dr.
Yes, sir.
Ashay,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam, will you please elaborate by giving the same example of topic and research question that about the drug interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drug? How
Yes.
we can differentiate hypothesis between research question and how we can frame it in hypothesis? The same question, drug interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drug.
Sir, why hypothesis we used to frame?
No, in this particular topic,
Yes.
what will be the hypothesis?
Fine. In the example of,
Drug interaction between Ayurvedic
yeah.
and allopathic drug,
Huh. Fine.
right? Yeah.
we have to frame a null hypothesis.
Right. Right.
Fine. If we want to frame a null hypothesis,
Right.
the research question is, are the interaction of various Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs synergistic or antagonistic? If we want to frame a null hypothesis, we will say there is no difference.
Okay.
No difference.
No difference between.
What we are exactly testing, drug interaction between Ayurvedic or allopathic drugs, how Ayurvedic and allopathic drug interact with each other. And
Okay.
we
So
want
there
to
is no interaction. Is it
no
like that?
interaction, or interaction is not in any specific synergistic or antagonistic. See, what you will do, sir, what in a research question, if you are coming out with the interaction status, it means you have to find out, you are trying to find out the interaction level,
Right.
that
Right.
there is interaction. If
Right.
you will coming out with the statement that there is no interaction between Ayurvedic or allopathic drug in terms of synergistic or antagonistic nature,
Right.
this is basically null hypothesis that you have framed. There is no interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs in terms of synergistic or antagonistic nature. Getting my point, sir?
Little bit. Yeah.
Basically, you have to prove what you want to prove exactly. You want to establish the interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs in synergistic or antagonistic nature. This you want to prove. But to be a unbiased researcher, you should frame a unbiased statement as a null hypothesis statement. So what you will say, that there is no interaction between Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs in terms of synergistic or antagonistic nature.
Okay.
Now this can be proved as interaction of Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs in synergistic nature, or it may get proved as interaction of Ayurvedic and allopathic drugs in antagonistic nature. Getting my point, sir?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Getting my point, sir? This is the what is the purpose exactly? Hypothesis is basically to make more clear the research question, sir. This is the purpose. So exactly we are trying to see, the research question shows that there is interaction. This is a
Right. Right. Yeah.
we are fixing in our research question that yes, there is interaction. Now we have to only analyze that whether it is in synergistic nature or whether it is antagonistic nature. Our hypothesis should be there is no interaction in any terms, synergistically or antagonistically.
Okay.
Fine, sir. Getting my point?
Okay. Yes.
Fine.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, you just practice one thing. If you want to make it more clear, what I did, sir,
Yeah.
all research, try to find out some 13, 14, 15, 20 research question and try to frame a null hypothesis.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
After framing a null hypothesis, sir, alternate hypothesis framing is almost equivalent to research question.
It will be same like research question, no? Then
Not always, not always,
it will be similar to it.
but similar to, yes. But null hypothesis used to make it very clear. Unbiased statement. Getting my point, sir? It demands practice. Just demands practice. That's all. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Then one more query from Dr. Prashant. Dr.
Yeah,
Prashant
Dr.
Patil.
Prashant.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hello.
And my question is that what is novelty in while designing the research question?
Novelty is all 6 points that we have discussed.
Right.
Novelty in terms of relevance. First, whether it is relevant or not, this is specific, this.
Right.
Novelty to avoid duplication.
Okay.
For example, sir, if one study has been conducted in North Zone, now you want to study the same research question in East Zone.
Okay.
Again, it is novel. It is new.
Okay.
Only you have to ensure that in each zone, same study with same variable, and the variable well answered in the research result should not be there. That's all.
Okay.
Novel doesn't mean a completely new idea, new concept. Novelty doesn't mean this.
Okay.
Novelty means it should not be duplicated. It
Right.
should be have some relevance. Results should be
Understand.
applicable.
Right.
This means novelty, some new idea, some new concept. For example, purification technique of Ganga water, some new ideas by some of the Ayurvedic formulations. This can be
Okay.
new. Getting? So novelty
Right,
doesn't
ma'am.
mean some completely new idea. Novelty means you have to ensure with the help of good literature review that the unanswered questions can be addressed in your study. That's all.
Okay, ma'am.
That's all,
Okay,
sir.
ma'am. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you.
The last query from Dr. Resma. Please
Ah.
unmute yourself,
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr.
Resma.
Reshma.
Hello, good evening, madam.
Good evening, Reshma ma'am. Bataएं.
Madam, my question is concerning basic methodology.
Fine.
I probably am asking a bit a topic out of this discussion at the present.
It's okay. It's okay.
I needed to know if there is any formula or method for calculating sample size when it comes to cell line study or any in vitro study.
Ma'am, this question you have to ask with some specific
Yes.
person of statistics specifically. I think Amit may
Yes,
direct
ma'am.
this question to some
Yes,
specific statistician. They will be answer it better, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. For
Because
that,
this is specifically related to statistical analysis or
Yes.
I mean sample size calculation specifically.
We have two lectures assigned from Dr. Padam Singh.
Okay.
Because there is some changement in the schedule, we have two more lecture of Dr. Padam Singh, and then you can ask the same question again after
After the session.
16 and 17, the 18 and 19. There is two lectures of Dr. Padam Singh on sampling size after Dr. Hitesh sir. So please.
So I request
available
Amit,
on that day.
please redirect this question of Dr. Reshma to
Definitely.
Padam Singh sir.
Definitely.
Please remember and note it down.
Yes,
This is important. This is important.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
ma'am. Sorry.
No, thank you, madam. But I have one more question regarding
please.
methodology.
Please.
Like we come from the Ayurvedic background,
Fine, ma'am.
right? And many times I feel myself and most of my colleagues would agree that we lack in understanding which methodology would suit us best.
Fine.
Is there any book we can refer to, like, the biochemical methodologies where we can assess as a tool and then adopt those methods?
Ma'am, basically, I wish to recommend Leon Goddess.
Okay,
Because
ma'am.
I have gone through Leon Goddess religiously.
Okay, ma'am.
And this is one of the best book, I think, in context of methodology. And you will be, I mean, language is very good, very simple. And with good examples, they try to clarify the concepts. So Leon Goddess, I recommend. If you want to clarify your concepts regarding methodology, you can go through it.
Okay, thank you so much,
Okay,
madam.
thank
Thank
you.
you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for making session very interactive with query discussion.
Thank you.
Now, again, I think that I hope all participants definitely get benefited from today's session. And now, I would like to introduce today's chairperson of the session, Dr. Rupa ma'am. Ma'am is currently working as a principal and chief medical officer at Dhanvantri Ayurveda College, Siddhapur, Karnataka. Ma'am has 22 years of teaching experience in Dhanvantri Ayurveda College Hospital and Research Center, Siddhapur, and guided 11 PG students of Kaya Chikitsa department. Ma'am has 12 years of administrative experience as principal, Dhanvantri Ayurveda College and Research Center, Siddhapur, and as a CMO, Dhanvantri Ayurveda College, Siddhapur. Member of PG of Studies Ayurveda of RGUHS and coordinator of Southern Zone and Karnataka State Mahila Prakoshtha by Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad. Ma'am is Joint Secretary for June 2nd, Ayurveda College Principals Forum, Karnataka. Ma'am has delivered 12 lectures and various social talks at state and national level. Ma'am has chaired many state and national level seminars in different places and attended as subject expert in the Department of Panchakarma at Jamnagar University, Gujarat, conducted by IOS, India. Also organized a state level seminar on Arica in the collaboration of CAMPCO and TSS. Ma'am has been awarded as Miss Nivedita Award by Nivedita Women's Club Siddhapur. Ma'am has been facilitated by IMS Siddhapur on Doctor's Day, by Innerville on International Women's Day at Sirsi at Mata Anuraga, facilitation by Matru Vandana Samiti. Sri Academic Activities Publications Award and Felicitation Bhuneshwari Temple Siddhapur on the occasion of Kannada Rajyotsava. Now, I would like to invite ma'am to kindly share her views and experience regarding today's session and share some experience with the participants and kindly conclude today's session. Please welcome ma'am.
Namaste to all. Feeling very happy to see many practitioners and a great scholar, Dr. Manushi Srivastava ma'am, and also all this. I heard that it is 600 members have attended. Really, it is a very good program, and I feel very privileged to be a part of this program. And I thank the organizers mainly to hear about. Hear the talk from Dr. Manushi ma'am. It was more informative and as with the simple words you have given the justice to your topic. As far as the research topic is concerned, I'm in an infant stage still. I'm learning. I thought like I would have been a delegate of this particular program. So it was very nice, and we'll be in contact with you, ma'am. And later, I want to hear the more with you, and even I hope all the delegates also. By their reactions, we came to know that how impressive you are. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And I want to add up one more thing, that is the PICO strategy. That is before thinking about the research problems, you have to think about the PICO. PICO is P for the population, I population on which like you are doing the research, and I is the intervention what you will do, and think about the C, that is the comparison what you will be doing, and O is the outcome of that particular research. So that you first think about that and later you frame the research work. And many times what happens is after the PG, we'll stop everything, only we'll do the research. Now we are like in the UG syllabus and also in the PG, we are noticing the research topics. So earlier it was not there. Research is the topic in which the upgradation is timely, it is required. So we all have to get upgraded. After the 3 months of course, we'll think that so we can become a good researcher. No, it is not possible. If you have a dedication and also passionate towards the research, then only we can become a good researcher. So as Vagbata, I'll not take more time of you. Vagbata says to get the knowledge, Patha, Avabodha, and also Anushtana is very important. Whatever you are learning, because the organizers have arranged like A to Z of the research here from an eminent scholars. So we have to go through all those things, and we also upgrade ourselves. We should analyze all the things and we have to adopt that. Then only we can become a good researchers. So all the best, and also for I thank all the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and I'm thankful to Dr. Surendra Chaudhary sir and also Amit who was contacting me. Because of my schedule I was unable to give him the time, but still he made me to attend this. It is a good opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Amit, and all organizers. Thank you once again, Manushi ma'am. We'll be in contact. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words and appreciating this program with and sharing your experience with the participants. And it's an honor to have two great personality together, Dr. Manushi ma'am and Dr. Rupa ma'am together from different fields. It's honor for us. And I again thanks all of the participants and ma'am for your valuable time in the session.
Thank you once again, Dr. Rupa. I am privileged to have you as my chairperson. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for
Thank you, ma'am.
coordination. Thank you.
Now from the Joint State Training Center of Rajasthan, we convey our sincere thanks to all the participants for their active participation and commitment for today's session. We heartily thank the guest speaker of the session, Dr. Manushi Srivastava ma'am, who kept participants engaged by the way of very informative lecture. And also thanks Dr. Rupa ma'am for chairing today's session and sharing his experience and views about the session with the participants. Now this is the end of today's session. We again thanks to all of you. Tomorrow we have uh, session presented by there is some changement I need to announce, and I will share definitely information in the group. Uh, there is a there is some changement like a two lecture tomorrow and the day after tomorrow will be taken by Dr. Hitesh Khurana sir from PGI Rohtak, Haryana. The topics are for tomorrow, how to write inclusion and exclusion criteria, and on 17th, the effective discussion writing. And the both topics will be delivered by the Dr. Hitesh Khurana sir from PJ Rohtak. Thank you. Thank you. This is the end of today's session. And again, thanks to all the participants. Thank you.